Welcome, our dear viewers. Thank you for watching Uganda Catholic Television, Good News for All. I come again with another program on responsible citizenship, responsible leadership, a program that is brought to you by Dr. Kiiza Aliba Emmanuel, the National Executive Secretary of the Justice and Peace Department of Uganda Episcopal Conference. We started this series of programs. Now this is the 11th program. We would like, as a department of the Uganda Episcopal Conference, to assist each other, our dear viewers, to live our faith, to reflect our faith in society, that our actions will reflect what we believe in, that our words, that everything we do will reflect that we are indeed God's people. We are indeed Christians. As I always say, that the flag of Christ is always active in you. Whoever sees you in society is able to know this man, this woman, this boy, this girl is a Christian. So this is why we come with these programs, to assist one another, to live a good Christian calling, to live a good Christian life. We have to reflect our names in society. If I am called Emmanuel, Emmanuel actually means God is with us. So if my name is Emmanuel and that God is with us, I should be able to reflect it in society, at home, at work. I should be able to reflect. My life should reflect what I believe in. So this is the reason we started these programs, and we are still continuing. We shall be discussing several topics, and we are very happy with the Uganda Catholic Television because we are able to interact freely. You are able to view, and it was not, when it was not here, we were not able to see each other. You couldn't see me. I would come sometimes in Radio Sapiencia, but you would only hear the voice. But now you can attach the voice to the person. So thanks to the Uganda Catholic bishops who have given us this gift of Uganda Catholic Television. So today we come with another topic, and that is effective communication. In all our life setting, we have to communicate effectively. So today we shall look at what is it to be an effective communicator. You know, communication, if we talk about communication, there are people who have studied and have gotten a PhD, a doctorate in communication. So communication is so large that it is difficult to discuss it in 1 hour that we have here on Uganda Catholic Television. But we shall get those key issues that will help us to share how we can be effective communicators. So effective communication, someone defined it as a process of exchanging ideas, a process of exchanging thoughts, a process of exchanging opinions, a process of exchanging knowledge, so that the message is received and understood with clarity and purpose. When we communicate effectively, both the sender and the receiver feel satisfied. There is satisfaction when we communicate clearly and effectively. Now, let's take some time and briefly look at some principles of effective communication. The first principle of effective communication is that the message I am sending should be clear. The message I am communicating should be clear. We have to be clear when we are communicating. A clear message will be well understood. A clear message will be well received. Vague messages cannot be understood. So when we are communicating, let's be very clear in sending clear messages. The second principle is the message has to be concise. The message I'm giving out has to be concise. The other one is the message I'm giving out has to be concrete. Those are the principles. If I'm to communicate effectively, the message has to be concrete. A concrete message will be well understood. The message has to be correct. Correct message. If we have to communicate effectively, the message has to be coherent. Not saying one thing in the morning and in the afternoon you say the opposite. The message has to be coherent. What I pass on today, tomorrow when asked, I should be able to pass the same message. The message has to be coherent. The message has to be complete. If we have to communicate effectively, the message we are giving has to be complete. And we have to always be cautious of what we are communicating. Put another thought about the message before you communicate. We used to say when we were still young, think twice before you act. Thinking twice. So we have to really be cautious with the messages that we are giving. In effective communication, we have to be cautious. So that we don't give one message and then tomorrow we regret as to why we gave out the message. So we have to be very cautious. So we cannot just manage to communicate anyhow. There are some skills that we need in order to be effective communicators. And without these skills, we can't communicate well. And you'll believe with me, dear viewers of Uganda Catholic Television, Good News for All, you'll believe with me that one component that has destroyed our society is because we are not communicating effectively with each other. You go to families. Some families are not doing well because there is no effective communication among the parents, between the parents and the children, among the, there is no effective communication. Like someone says, we are all parallel. This one is going the east, the other one is going in the west. You will never meet if one goes to the east and another one continues in the west. So we have to communicate effectively so that we really understand one another. At the places of work, effective communication at work is key. How do you pass on messages? Upwards? How do you pass on messages to your other fellow co-workers? Effective communication, we need it. So there are some few skills I would like to share with you of effective communication. The first skill that I would like each one of you to think about if you feel you are lacking in it, you develop it. If we have to be effective communicators, we have to be attentive listeners. We have to listen attentively. And you listening is different from hearing. Because I can hear some rain on top of the roof, but I'm not actually listening to the rain. No, I just hear. To be an attentive listener is to take an extra step in understanding the person you are communicating to, you are communicating with. You need some silence, some time of silence. It should not be you always to talk. Must you talk? Always. There is some need to listen to one another if we have to communicate effectively. I've seen in families people quarreling. This one talks, the tone is lower, the other one responds, the tone is higher, and you see another one increasing the tone to overtone the other one. The other one also increases to overtone the other one, and the whole place is crowded with noise. But look, why don't we listen to each other? I know listening is not a cup of tea. It's not a cup of milk, dear viewers. Listening sometimes involves some pain. You know, I always tell people, listening is like eating red pepper. You see, no, I was in Melbourne, in Australia, and we visited an Indian friend. We had dinner there, and I saw on the table there were towels. Each seat there was a towel. I didn't know the purpose of the towel. So when they served the first meal, then I realized the purpose of that towel. So you eat as you are crying. You eat as you are weeping tears because there is hot pepper. The food is hot. So by the time you complete eating, you have really, the towel is all wet because of the tears, but then you must eat. So listening is like eating hot pepper. You know, we are from different backgrounds, both academically, in terms of experience, in terms of, bringing up. We are from different backgrounds. And the different backgrounds is what makes us human. So there is, when in my heart I know, really I'm not listening to a good point, but I have to listen up to the end. But in my heart I know this is not a good point. Sometimes we listen to lies. Someone comes and tells you lies, and you have to listen to the lies because you have facts. Sometimes someone doesn't know that you have facts, but you have the facts. But you have to listen. You know, especially us who have the privilege of supervising a lot of people, you know. You have the facts with you, but you see somebody telling you lies, and you must be, I have said, you must be an attentive listener. Can you imagine being an attentive listener, but listening to lies? That is it. So let's when we want to communicate effectively, the first skill we must develop is being an attentive listener. The second skill I would like us to develop or to promote, if you have developed it, is always observe the non-verbal communication. It is key when you are communicating. Observe the non-verbal communication. How someone is expressing himself before you, how someone is expressing herself before you. Observe, because they tell a lot. Observe the sitting posture. Observe the way somebody comes to your office. Observe the non-verbal behavior. Always observe the non-verbal communication. Because the psychologists will tell you that maybe a big portion of the information you may have just to get it through observation. The other one will be said verbally, but there is good information that you will get by observing the non-verbal communication. So as you are communicating, if you want to be an effective communicator, observe. Talk, listen, but observe the non-verbal communication. There is a lot that we learn from non-verbal communication. Words are important, but also listen to the tone. Someone is using. See the tone. Look at the mood someone is in. Have an eye contact with this person as you are communicating. Look at the facial expressions as you are communicating. Look at the hand gestures. Look at the posture which someone has. Look at the body language. So, my dear viewers, especially the young graduates, you people who are growing up and you want to cope with the world, remember, we as elders are observing you. Yes, we are listening to what you say, but we are also observing what you do. And there's a lot to tell. So when I've given you an appointment to come and see me, actually sometimes before you talk something, I've put you in a certain category of people, because I've met very many people. And I've handled very many issues. As you are coming to see me in my office, even before greeting me, I've already constructed, some, the way you come in. I look at the way you are dressed to come and see me. I look at your hairstyle, if you are, some hairstyles have some way they communicate, I may even look at the shoes you are wearing, because the shoes also communicate something. So if you have to be an effective communicator, please observe the non-verbal communication. Always. And the other thing, if you have to communicate effectively, be relaxed, especially if you are going to communicate in a large public, in a public. Relax. Take your time. You know, some people have, I call it public phobia, that when you're in public, you are all sweating, you are not at ease. And when you ask you to communicate something, you can't, the microphone is shaking and, no, relax. If you want to be an effective communicator, relax. Especially when you want to address a big gathering. And sometimes the gathering that we are addressing, I have some superiors. For example, I will be requested to talk when the President of the Republic of Uganda is seated there, when the Right Honorable Prime Minister is there, the Vice President is there. Now, here I am to talk. In such a gathering, relax, compose yourself. So relaxing is one of the skills of communication if you have to give an effective communication, because once you have some stress or some anxiety, these make you choose words wrongly. When you are at pressure, you don't choose the right words. This is why I'm saying if you have to be an effective communicator, relax. At all times, relax. Effective communication involves relaxing. Cool it off, and then communicate effectively. Before we go in for a break, I would like that we talk and we look at another skill that we need in communication, and that is the knowledge of the audience. You have to get a good knowledge of the audience where you are going to communicate. You make a good search of the audience. These days it is common when you go and meet, you go for business meetings, like the other time I was in India. I was in India for a business meeting. Wherever you would go, people have already done a background check about you. Because now we are public figures. There's a lot of information about me. You just type in Dr. Kiiza Emmanuel Aliba in Google. You see what people have said, the right things and wrong things about me, all of them are there. So people, before you meet somebody, it is good to do a background check so that you know exactly the person you are going to meet. You know exactly the people you are going to interact with. Do a background check. Then you will give effective messages. Otherwise, if you just wake up and, you give irrelevant messages. So every time you are going to communicate, just know your audience. Do some background check about your audience so that you get the right words to communicate to such an audience. If you are given an opportunity to address the bishops, all the bishops are seated there, and you are given the opportunity to address them, and you have never met them, please do a background check. How do we address the bishops? You know, some of the bishops are archbishops. How do we address archbishops? Some of the bishops are cardinals. How do we address cardinals? Do a background check before you address any congregation, any audience. Do a background check. So, thank you for always tuning in, dear viewers of the Uganda Catholic Television, Good News for All. Thank you for loving this program, Responsible Leadership, Responsible Citizenship. And now we are going in for a commercial break. After break, we shall again come on that same topic of how to communicate effectively. We shall try to trace it even in the Bible. You'll see the effective communication, how some people did it in a number of scriptural texts. Thank you for viewing Uganda Catholic Television. We go in for the commercial break. Welcome back, our esteemed viewer of Uganda Catholic Television, Good News for All. We are happy that you have loved our program, Responsible Leadership, Responsible Citizenship, always brought to you from the Justice and Peace Department of the Uganda Episcopal Conference. Thank you for viewing this program, because we really want to move together, to be responsible leaders in society, to be responsible citizenship, to be responsible citizens of Uganda. You know, when I look at society and I look at some of our people, sometimes I ask myself, what is the reflection of these people's faith? You know, on Sunday, we are in church. On Friday, we are in mosques. Saturday, for the Seventh-day Adventists, are in church. But what impact does this church, what impact does this faith have on your life? At home, at work, wherever you are. This is why we come with these several topics, that the faith will help us to be responsible leaders, to be responsible citizens. And before we went in for a commercial break, we were discussing how best we can be effective communicators. Because we have realized that in our society, one thing where we need to develop very well is to communicate with each other effectively. We need effective communication in families. We need effective communication at work. Because if we don't do that, we are bound to get problems in our families. We are bound to get problems at work. Because we have to communicate each other. We have to communicate with one another. We have to communicate with our family members. We have to communicate with our superiors. And there is a way we have to communicate with our superiors. It may not be the same way we communicate with our children. It may not be the same way. So we need to have this art of communication so that we are effective. We are good citizens. We are responsible leaders by communicating effectively. We also see it in the Bible. Like you see, when God is creating a human being, he changes the formula of communication. So in creation, you would say, let there be, and something would exist. Let there be this, let there be this, and something would exist. But if you read well the Bible, you see, when it came to the creation of human being, I say, let us create man in our own image and likeness. He changes. He doesn't say, let there be man. Say, let us. He changes the formula of communication. There is a purpose in that. The theologians will tell you, I don't want to enter into too much theology or scripture. They are experts in this. But he changes the communication. Doesn't say the same, let there be, and something is, let there be. When it comes to man, he makes a special formula now. It says, let us. Not let there be, no, let us make man in our own image. Possibly when we are communicating, somewhere we need also to be, the way we communicate with our children should not be the same the way we communicate with our parents. The way we communicate with our parents may not be the same we communicate in the office. Even in the office, the way I communicate with my secretary is not the same the way I communicate to my superior. So we need to be very sensitive about how we communicate. I remember also Abraham pleading with God. Supposing, oh God, supposing you don't find 40 people in that city, will you still destroy that city? Now supposing, Lord forgive me, now supposing the 40 are not there. Supposing you only get 30. Lord forgive me, I'm not supposed to talk like this before my God, but supposing the 30 is not there, will you still destroy the city if you found 20? That bargaining, that way of expression, you could really see a deep conversation. A deep conversation, but a conversation of respect. So the way we talk to our superiors, we need that conversation of respect. Respect. And I remember in the New Testament, God, if you so wish, make me well. If you so wish, make me well. That humble request, I think it was a blind man. If you so wish, make me see again. Jesus asks, what can I do for you? He said, if you so wish. I like this, when I read this in the Bible, I feel touched myself, because not many of us do give such respect to our superiors. The other one was Bartimaeus, I think. Bartimaeus. He had a problem. He was not on the road with other people, with Jesus. People were enjoying the presence of Jesus on the road, but for him, he was on the side of the road, Bartimaeus. So he decided to shout, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I don't know why he chose that. Then, when people tried to put him down, don't talk, You can't shout before. Then you check that, you read that, that story very well. You see, now instead of saying son of David, it's Jesus, son of David, he didn't even mention now the name Jesus. Just say, son of David, have mercy on me. Even me, if you called me son of so and so, I would see that intimate relationship. Actually, many people call me Dr. Aliba. Others, Aliba. But there is a name. I have a surname called Kiiza. That's my surname. I have not seen many people call me Kiiza. There are few. Here at work, I think it was Monsignor Ndamira is the one who used to call me Kiiza. Kiiza, how are you? I would see that intimate. He knows me, you know. He calls me by my surname. But now if you can even call me, not Kiiza, but this time you call me son of Edward. In Bunyoro it comes very well. Eh? Edward, son of Edward. Have mercy on me. I will return. I say, Edward, you must have a very close touch to reach a level of knowing my grandparent, or, you know, like for us, when I'm moving and somebody calls me, Mwijukuru wa Kabalega, Mwijukuru wa Kabalega, or Rwa Kabalega. Someone says, the grandson of the great king of Bunyoro, Kabalega. I immediately don't know that this person knows me very well. If I'm moving and somebody behind calls me, Rwa Kabalega, Oliota, how are you? Automatically I know this person knows me and has a relationship with me. So the way we communicate matters a lot. We have to communicate with intimacy. You know, the closer we are in communication, the better for the messages to reach. The way we communicate to our children. You know, why on earth should the children feel uncomfortable when mother comes back, when father comes back home? Why should the children feel uncomfortable? You know, when they hear the sound of your car and the gate opening, the children become uncomfortable. Why don't the children, when they hear the sound of the car, they move out and start jumping up and down with joy? The father has come. Possibly it's because of the communication. And we may have to change the way we communicate to our young ones, the way we communicate to our children. I'm really looking forward for good families in our society in Uganda, to have families that are families of love, that are families of joy. It is possible, dear viewers of Uganda Catholic Television. It is possible, but we have to work towards it. It will not come by accident. This is why we come to share these programs, so that we help one another. You know, good families, when you are in a good family, you feel loved. You feel you are secure, you know. So, but the way we communicate in our families, we should improve, so that we get good families in our society. So, if you have to be an effective communicator, you also have to use some visual aids, because visual aids help your audience to remember your point. Use of visual aids. You know, the words are many. Now, if I asked you to tell me all the words that I have shared with you, possibly you may not remember all of them. But if I put a picture here of, I like Mr. Russ. Mr. Russ is a cartoonist in a New Vision. Actually, whenever I buy the New Vision, I will rush to look at Mr. Russ, that cartoonist. There's a cartoon in a New Vision and Monitor. There are cartoons, but particularly Mr. Russ in the New Vision. There's a way he packages his message. It's as if he has written the whole paper, but he puts just a picture and one sentence below the picture. You know? Just a picture and one sentence below the picture. Because I remember one, I think that was the last graduation ceremony that our president presided over at Makerere. I think the law changed because the president was always the chancellor of Makerere, but they changed the law. So before they changed the law, the president had presided over a graduation, and he told the graduates, or called them the graduates after their graduation, he told them on that ceremony that they should come and join the police. They should join the army. So Mr. Russ, the following day, he brought that cartoon where the Inspector General of Police is interviewing the graduates, the fresh graduates, as the other policemen who are not graduates are admiring how the graduates are entering the police force. So they came carrying heavy books for interviews, Encyclopedia Britannica, what? And the first one, he pointed the words that the first one was telling the Inspector General of Police in an interview. So the first one came and said, I have come to transmorphorize the atmospheric cosmogony in the police force. And then Mr. Russ put dash, dash, dash. So the Inspector General of Police, I think by then it was Katumba Wamala, General Katumba Wamala. The Inspector General responded to this first graduate to say, you either be simple or go away. But I liked that cartoon. There are many cartoons that I like. I can describe many, but the time cannot allow us. The way the information is packaged, you know, a graduate can, I have come to transmorphorize the atmospheric cosmogony, you know, and he's holding Encyclopedia Britannica, and, you know, with the graduation gown and hat, and the other simple policemen are watching with admiration. So the whole thing touched me. I said, this Mr. Russ, I think that was one of the first cartoons I liked, and since then I've been following. So the way you package your information matters a lot. How do you communicate? You know, use of visual aid. Put a picture there. You know, I can make a presentation of only pictures without any word. But you will get my communication much better than when I use words. So use of visual aids will help you deliver a message very well. In communication, dear fellow viewers, we have to show empathy. We have to be, you know, to feel, to stand in the shoes of someone before you, especially when we are in our free spaces, we have to show that empathy. We are not, as I've always said, we are not from the same background. We have different worldview. Your worldview is not mine. But when you come to me, you should go out satisfied that, yes, I've met a Christian. Yes, I've met someone. You know, by showing empathy, you are able to touch very many lives. So when we are communicating, let's show empathy. Also in communication, if we want to be effective communicators, we have to offer opportunity for feedback. Feedback. Many people want to talk and talk and talk. But is what I am talking about touching people? Feedback. You know, it was, I think, a psychologist called John Dewey. John Dewey was a professor, a psychologist, and educationist. John Dewey said, if a teacher enters into a classroom and teaches the whole lesson and goes out praising himself that I have been teaching, I taught very well, when actually no student learned, that teacher is like a woman who goes to sell tomatoes in the market and comes back rejoicing, I have been selling, when actually no one bought the tomatoes. So the feedback is important. Has someone learned? Has the lesson reached the end user? To provide an opportunity for feedback. Feedback, which is very important in communication. You have to provide an opportunity for feedback. When in communication also, when I offer you time to come and see me, use the best of the time given to you. Utilize that opportunity very well, especially you young men and young women. If the CEO of the organization invites you in his office or our office, use the best. That time, use it to your best. Some of you now, you start cracking a joke. It's okay to joke around, but you never know, this person, the time may not be there. He's having very many meetings and he just wants to see you for 20 minutes and because there are lines of programs, you know, there is diaries overcrowded. So if one has given you 20 minutes, use the best of it. Express yourself completely in those 20 minutes. Because if you delay in communicating, this person may get a call, and the call may take him 30 minutes, or her may take 30 minutes, and then one will ask you, the time is not there, you know. But if you had used the best of the time that has given you, you'd be, you know. So every time you communicate, make sure that time that you are given, you do the best of it. You utilize it, you know, at its best. You have to address an audience and you are given 5 minutes. Package your information very well so that you use, you know, they're saying you hit a bull by its horns. Eh? Use the best of the time that is given to you. If you are given 20 minutes, don't wait for a bell. They warn you, warning, and no, don't wait for warning. Don't wait for the bell to, use the best of your time. I have 1 hour here to address you. I should use the best of this time. So as we go in, as we conclude our program, always remember when you are communicating that there is a way you have to balance yourself. When you are communicating with the young ones, calm down, because the young ones, you have to get a language for the young ones. You have to if you communicate to the young ones as if you are communicating to a CEO, you have had it wrong. So let's always, in communication, let's always balance. Just know the person you are talking to, just know the audience you are in, then you give the right messages, you give the right information. Dear fellow viewers, effective communication is key in our lives. Effective communication is key in our institutions. If we manage to communicate well in our families, in our places of work, conflicts will reduce and we shall be at peace. So for peaceful coexistence, let us learn to communicate effectively. Thank you for viewing Uganda Catholic Television, Good News for All. Until we come again with another program, have a very wonderful time at Uganda Catholic Television.